Shericka Jackson tells us to temper our expectations for women's 200-meter world record. In other words, we should not expect one. And she clarifies why she pulled out of the women's 100 meters at the Paris Olympic Games. Welcome back to the channel, people. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for making it Peter Lloyd World. Go ahead, please hit the subscribe button so we continue to go. You do that, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video drops. Drop a video at least once a day here in Peter Lloyd World. Also, if you enjoy the content, please hit the like button and finally leave your thoughts. And ready? Yep. Good to go. Well, Shericka Jackson, as you may know at this point, has pulled out of the women's 100 meters at the Paris Olympic Games. The prelim rounds are scheduled to start in that event on August the 2nd. The three women who will be representing Jamaica in the 100 meters will be Tia Clayton of the famous Clayton twins, Tina and Tia Clayton. Sasha Lee Forbes has been added to the roster, and the five-time world champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. Now, this seemed to have been as a result of an injury that Shericka Jackson suffered in Hungary.
And Alfred, but now getting into one is Shericka Jackson. She's a great 400-meter runner as well. Daryl Nita trying to go with her. Good running in lane 3 there from Morrison. Oh, and Jackson pulls up. Not an abrupt pull up as Alfred takes it from Nita. And that is a great shape.
So I was watching closely at this stage when Jackson, but you can see that she has got strapping on the back of that leg, and it just is, yeah, that doesn't look good for Jackson. It was at that point she would have needed to just up the F as Jackson. And
recently, Jackson spoke with TVJ, explaining, TVJ Sports that is, explaining why it is that she will not be running the women's 100 meters.
As I said, it's a combination of a lot of stuff, and as I said, Coach and I made that decision not to contest the 100 meter, and I think we're pretty happy with that. So,
what's the injury status like? We saw you pull up in your previous race. Haven't seen you compete since then. Are you 100% fit now?
Honestly, I was only supposed to compete in that event, and as Coach stated, we only run a few races in Europe, and I think that was the only race all of us was supposed to run, because after that, no persons that going to the Olympic had competed. So I think I'm pretty good. I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm okay.
Now, also of interest is Shericka Jackson's recent interview featured in Citus magazine. This interview was done by Emerald Anderson for Citus Mag. The text here says, update: Shericka Jackson speaks before the start of the Paris Olympics on whether people can expect a world record in 200 meters. Quote, with all honesty, I don't think there's a world record coming, end quote. On what happened at the meet where she pulled up before the 200 meter finish. Quote, I'm okay. I had a slight cramp in Hungary, and right now I'm okay, end quote. On the decision to just run the 200 meters and scratch the 100 meters in Paris Olympics, quote, the decision is just to protect my body. As I've said for the last few years, I've been competing in both events. It's a combination of both, just focusing on one event and what happened in Hungary, end quote. Here is the actual interview.
You're running the 200, you just said it. What can we expect from Shericka Jackson in the 200? Could we possibly be looking at a new world record? New Olympic record, potentially?
With all honesty, I don't think there's a world record coming, but that's funny. Definitely, I don't think there's a world record coming.
How things are since Hungary, because you see you struggling in the end of the race. Could you tell us a bit more?
Come again?
After Hungary, the Hungary meet, so end of the race was complicated. Could you tell us a bit more how you're physically feeling? Is it injury or just are you okay?
I'm okay. I had a slight cramp in Hungary, and right now I'm okay.
And the 100 decision is for more focus or to more rest before it?
I think the decision is just to protect my body. As I said, for the last 3 years I've been competing in both events, and I think it's a combination of both, just focusing on one event and what happened in Hungary. So it's a combination of both.
Now, we should note that according to World Athletics, the fastest women over the 200 meters thus far this year are number one, Gabrielle Thompson, with a time of 21.78 of the United States, Mackenzie Long of the USA with a time of 21.83 in the second spot. Julian Alfred of St. Lucia with 21.86 is the third fastest. Brittany Brown of the United States is fourth with 21.90, and Sha'Carri Richardson, who will not be competing in the women's 200 meters, is fifth with 21.92 seconds. So the U.S. women, Mackenzie Long there on your left, Gabby Thomas there in the middle, the fastest so far this year, and Brittany Brown on your right are real threats to the women's 200 meters at the upcoming Paris Olympic Games, as well as, of course, the young lady I've also been speaking about for quite some time, St. Lucia's Julian Alfred. Now, this, of course, is my 2 cents. The fact is, we may have to start facing a few realities. One, Jackson has not yet ran a world time, a significant sub-21 thus far this season. Now, is she capable of doing it? Well, if she's really okay, as she says she is, then yeah. An okay Jackson, as I've said it before in previous interviews, a Jackson at 80% can beat anyone that I just mentioned, including Mackenzie Long, Gabby Thomas, Brittany Brown, and Julian Alfred. I mean, that there is no joke about that. I mean, it's 21.41. No one in that roster has ever gotten even close. The closest, of course, is Gabby Thomas with, I think, the fourth or fifth fastest time, which I think is 21.69. I'm just guessing now. And this year, her best time has been 21.78, and I expect her to improve upon that. So even Shericka Jackson at 80% cannot be beaten over the 200 meters. The question is she really at 80%? At this point, even I am beginning to question, because it's obvious to me that Jackson has been injured for quite some time. I do not believe the injury happened in Hungary. I believe she's been injured on and off throughout the season. So the question becomes, how serious is this injury? So that's where the big question is for me. So going in, these 4 women are women that she will have to beat. And in truth, her real competitor, I think, will be, because I'm going to say that Mackenzie Long is a little inexperienced, so we shouldn't expect too much. I am going to say that her real competitor here is Gabby Thomas. Julian Alfred, I think, is also capable of being very dangerous. So if Jackson is at 80%, in my humble opinion, no one there can beat her. They just can't. 80% would mean she's running in the 21.6, 21.5. No one there can beat her. It's just not possible. But as I said again, the real question is, how injured is she? She said it was a cramp. We know that there were injury issues early in the year, and the fact that they pulled out of the 100 meters, which I think is a prudent thing. I mean, why pressure her? She said it. The idea is to protect her body. She's a world champion, and she could possibly be the Olympic gold medalist. But if we crunch the numbers here, which is what we do, is she doesn't even factor in that top 5. So we're basically saying this based on 2 things. One, what we've seen her run previously, the 21.41, and what her coach Stephen Francis said prior to the championships, where he said she was in basically the shape she was in last year at the championships, which was a 21.6 something shape, 21.65 or 21.6, somewhere around there. If she's in that shape, she stands a really good chance of winning. Like I said, at 80%, Shericka Jackson will win. Now, fact is, the Americans have a huge chance of sweeping. It's the truth, they do. As I said, this really does depend on how fit Jackson really is. The other Jamaican, Lene Thomas, I think will run a sub-21. I am not sure if she can medal. I am pretty certain she should be able to make the finals. You know, she's sort of young and new. So this is going to be pretty interesting. Like I said, I didn't think you would like hearing this, but I have to be honest here. If Jackson's at 80%, she's going to win the gold medal. The question is she at 80%? But this, of course, is my 2 cents. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, notification bell, the like button. Remember, you are royals, kings and queens. Bless up.